welcome to Meanwhile at the Castle. I'm Queen Deborah.
I'm Queen Emily.
And we are queens of our castles, keeping the domestic arts alive. This is episode 66, and it is the end of January, so it is the day we are pulling prizes for January for our Cozy Toes Cal.
Awesome.
So we'll give you some information about that in a little bit. So today, it is our first episode of the year.
That's true. It is.
And we are changing some things up a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit. We are going to continue with our same format of having life update and then finished objects, works in progress. And then rather than our Kindness is Like Sugar segment, we are now going to be having a new Getting to Know You segment where we hope to interact more with our audience, with our wonderful friends here who are watching. And then we will end with shop updates, if any.
Excellent.
So
sounds great.
That's what we're doing. But we are also going to announce for our giveaway. So
yes.
Let's start with our giveaway, and then we will do all the rest.
Perfect.
So we have a knit along running that started January 1st, and it goes through to the end of February.
That's great.
And we are hosting it both on Instagram and on our Facebook group, Meanwhile at the Castle. And Emily is hosting the Meanwhile at the Castle Facebook group, and I am hosting the Instagram group giveaway, which I have pretty much been absent. I'm so good at being a host. But anyways, doesn't really matter. All of you have been great at posting your finished projects. And so let me tell you what our prizes are. We have some donations, some wonderful things to offer this time. So we have patterns that have been donated. The first one is a sock pattern from Kyla, who is at Heritage Arts Co. on Instagram. She is a tech editor and designer, and she has donated a prize for DK Iced Gingerbread Socks pattern, which you can see here. Even though it's iced gingerbread socks, you can see that this is a textured sock that you can use for any sock yarn that you have. Any yarn goes, and it's great for all year long. So you can use this for anything you like now, or you can save it for Christmas time and do it in the theme that she has shown here. Then we have a prize, a pattern from Good to Go Knits Designs, who is Bronwyn Carroll, and she is on Ravelry and Lovecraft, so if you use one and not the other, it's available there. And she has offered a prize of your choosing, a pattern of your choosing, so you can go onto her website. I will link those below for all of our prizes so that you can see that, and you can choose which pattern you would like if you are the winner of that. And then you continue.
Excuse me.
And I will make sure that you get the pattern from her. She will email it to you. We'll communicate that between the three of us. So then we also have yarn that's beautiful.
It is gorgeous. Yarn. Gorgeous.
Ooh, DK sock yarn. It's sock sets from Dandelion and Dogwood. That is Amy and her sister. My brain just went blank. Jen, yes, thank you. I'm sorry. So there's this pink set, which is called It All Comes Out in Moron.
Gilmore Girls reference there.
And this blue set, which is Lovebird, another Gilmore Girl reference, but it's one of the first 4 colorways she ever created. So that's really fun. So Amy is going to be posting those to whoever wins. So
basically one of our prize winners will be from Instagram, one will be from our Facebook group, and one will get the pink set and the Heritage Arts Co. yarn pattern, and the other one will get the blue set and the Bronwyn Carroll pattern.
Okay, so Emily on Facebook, this is for the pink yarn and the Heritage Arts Co. Ice Gingerbread Socks.
So our winner there is Kim Mackenzie Withy, who shared a picture of her very first DK socks ever. And they were really, really fun. Pink and yellow socks, just really bright and beautiful. And so congratulations to Kim. You'll need to get in contact with me. You can do that on Facebook, do that on Facebook. Just message me there and I will make sure you get your prize.
Thank you. And the sooner you get in touch, the better, because you can get the yarn sooner and knit another pair of DK socks.
And enter for February.
Yep. Okay. And then for Instagram, I have written down all those who have entered with finished pair of socks. And our winner is This Nurse Knits. It is Carla Q. She knit actually 2 pair of shorties from Desert Vista Dye Works. And she gets the blue set of sock yarn, which is Lovebird, and a pattern of your choosing from Good To Go Knit Designs on Ravelry or on Lovecrafts. So check the link below for that one. And then if you contact me, you can contact me through email. And my email is also linked below, which is candyshoppeyarns@gmail.com. And I will get the prizes to you as well.
Awesome. This has been so fun to see all of your DK socks. It's been really neat to see just how fast these can knit up. What's been exciting is how many people are knitting multiple pairs because they've been able to kind of get through them rather quickly. So
on Instagram, Knit by Gramsy has knit 3 pair.
Yep. We've had a few of those that are multiple pairs.
Yep, This Nurse Knit, she had 2 that she entered, so that's fun. Okay, and I was going to say, we had another one, I thought. No, I think those were the only ones on Instagram.
Also, just to be clear, if you are on sharing both on Instagram and in the Facebook group, you are entered in the drawing for both of those entries. So you have double your chance to win a prize. We have really fun prizes for February too.
We do. Okay.
I mean, they are good prizes for both of these months.
Yep.
I'm loving it.
Okay. Oh, I just remembered another prize that's coming.
Oh, did you?
I think we're going to have a grand prize.
Ooh.
I think we'll have a grand prize.
We'll put everybody in the drawing for, yes, I love that.
So that's what we're going to do. Okay.
I love that. Definitely. Okay.
I just had it all divided up and I forgot about one more.
Okay. We'll make sure we write that down.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got to write this down.
We're not getting any younger. We have to keep track of things written down.
Okay. All right. Life update, Emily.
Oh, life update. January. Let's see. I'm trying to remember when we recorded last.
December. It was shortly before Christmas. It was like the week before Christmas.
We had a really nice January. I mean, it's been kind of a bummer. I've gotten sick twice, so that wasn't fun. But it's just been nice and low key. Lots of making, lots of finding new crafty loves. Thanks to Deborah, who's gotten me addicted to a new craft that we'll talk about later.
At all. I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not.
I'm glad you're not sorry. I'm not sorry either. Deborah and I had a really fun, small little knitting retreat with one of our dear friends. And that was so nice. We just knit and shopped. Yeah. We did more shopping than we should have. And ate good food and lots of relaxed talking and just, it was just lovely.
No time commitments. No commitments.
No commitments. No, we were committed to our knitting and crafting. I think that for me, January normally is a really hard month. I struggle with seasonal depression and I haven't this January. I've just been so happily not busy. So it's been lovely. It's been lovely.
That's good. Yeah, I took quite some time off of work, of dyeing yarn, and of most commitments in December and January. And then in January, it's my anniversary, my wedding anniversary. And my husband and I, we decided to go to Disneyland without the kids. I felt guilty for a minute.
Then you got over it.
And then I got over it. So that was really nice. It was really nice. And we had such a slow pace and just kind of did what we wanted to. Went back to the hotel and took a nap. I mean, I'm the toddler here. I needed a nap. So, and just had a really nice time. And it was my birthday this week. And so that was fun to celebrate with Emily and Margaret. And we went and got some dairy-free ice cream from Far Better Ice Cream. That's what it's called down in Orem. Wait, where were we?
Yes, we were in Orem, and we ate the most amazing tacos.
Tell about the tacos.
Okay, let me talk about tacos for a minute.
It's always a good time to talk about
It is
tacos.
always a good time to talk about tacos. It's always a good time to eat tacos. But I have had this great desire in my heart to try birria tacos. I think that's how you say it, which I would like to describe as a French dip taco. So it's just, the tacos with the really slow cooked shredded meat, lots of juiciness, crispy fried tortillas, cheese, and then you have a cup of consomme, which is basically the broth from cooking all that meat, and you dip it and you eat it. Oh my goodness. I've watched YouTube videos about these and like how to cook them, different taco trucks and taco vendors that sell them, but I haven't known if we had a good place around here to do it. And so we were looking for tacos, just tacos in general for our retreat. And there, lo and behold, taco place in Orem called Red Tacos. They were pretty good.
And
my
then
taco
right
dreams
next
came
to
true.
it, dairy-free
Far
ice
Better
cream.
ice cream. Yeah. So
in the cutest shop. The cutest shop.
That ice cream place was so
Super
adorable.
Cute. Anyways, so that was fun.
So if you're ever in Orem, Utah, Red Tacos and Far Better ice cream right next door to each other. You kind of can't go wrong.
Yep. And right around the corner, Trader Joe's, where I bought like 75 boxes of cookies. Not really, but we had
Between the three of us, we bought a lot of boxes of heart-shaped cookies. They're for gifts.
They're
so
really
there
great.
really is a
They're really
reason
great
for it.
gifts.
Yeah.
And then they had cute candies, cute tins, cute things, and then I ended up giving them to my kids.
That's really good sourdough bread.
So, yeah, can't go wrong. So head over there. Okay, that's what's up. I am just happy to be up.
Yes, to be feeling better.
Yep. So that's a good.
One other thing I've been doing is I've been doing a de-stash of my yarn, which is awesome. It's so freeing and inspiring. I have so much yarn that I've accumulated. We all do. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, that we've accumulated over the years. And a lot of it is things I'm not really in love with. I maybe got, some of it I got as gifts. Some of it I got because it was a really good deal. Some of it I bought just on a whim, but it wasn't really my thing. You know how that goes. And it just was so packed in to my little tiny sewing room here. I call it my sewing room, even though it's mostly just a knitting room. So packed in that I couldn't really see what it was I did have. And I wasn't feeling really inspired by anything. And anyway, so I just started pulling things out and just pulling anything out that didn't really speak to me anymore. I pulled 2 huge laundry baskets of things that I'm getting rid of. That's how much, that just kind of makes me sick to my stomach to think about. I don't want those things to go to waste. I would rather them go to somebody who can use them and enjoy them. And the wonderful thing about that is that as I'm doing that, I rediscovered all kinds of things that I do love, that I did have, I didn't even remember I had, that are now, starting to move into my queue of things I'm going to make and use. And so that was exciting. So anyway, going to do the same thing with my knitting tools. Because there are a lot of things that I have, it takes you a while to kind of figure out what tools you like.
Yeah.
And I've really known now what it is that I like, what I use, those things I use all the time. And I have a stash of other brands, other types of tools that I don't use, that I don't need. And again, could go to somebody who could really utilize them and that they could maybe bless their lives. So that's been a fun project, but it meant that I had to move a bunch of stuff into Abby's room across the hall so that we could even be I just have all the stuff pulled out, and then I went, oh yeah, we're recording a podcast. I gotta hurry and find a place to put this. So yeah.
That's what I do when guests come. The guest room is the stash room.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's start with some finished objects.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you have some fun stuff?
Well, let's talk about this one right here. I'm wearing my first finished object. I have some fun pictures of this that we'll be sharing here. But I finished my sweater. This pattern is called Menuet by Ririco, Riko. I love this cardigan. I knit it in Yarn Cafe Creations. Biscotti sock is the base. It's an 85-15 superwash merino nylon yarn. And the colorway is Pinkamena Diane, which is apparently Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. Her actual name is Pinkamena Diane. I didn't know that. I had to ask Abby, what is Pinkamena Diane referring to? Because I didn't get it, but there you go. So I love this. It fits me exactly how I want it to fit. The sleeves are the exact right length. And they fit perfectly through the arm. I have complained, I know, numerous times on this podcast about plus size sweaters with weirdly shaped arms. Mm-hmm. This fits perfectly. I have worn it. Let's see. I finished it I think a week and a half ago, and I probably have worn it at least 50% of the days since then, just because I can. So I already need to depill it a little bit right in here, but I love it. Anyway, I knit it exactly to the pattern. I knit the largest size of the pattern. I
was waiting for the except. You know, whenever it says I made it exactly except for this, and this.
And I'm thrilled. I talked about this last time, but I hid my place where I change yarns since I was alternating skeins. I hid that in one of these narrow, so you can see there's these narrow cables right here. They run down the raglan increase and then down the side, and it's the one back here that I did it in. But I hid it in there. It looks great. I mean, you don't really notice it at all. So that was one of my tricks that I will definitely repeat, alternating skeins in a project like this. Again, that challenge comes because this front band has kind of a slip stitch edge that gives it this kind of almost like I-cord finish right here, a really narrow I-cord finish. And because of that, you can't really alternate a skein in this place because you need to have that stitch that you slipped that then wraps around and starts the next stitch. And so you can't alternate your skein at the edge. And so you're knitting flat. You can't do it helical. So it just became a hard time. I did do helical knitting for the sleeves, for alternating the skeins and the sleeves, but it worked out great.
And when you do helical or alternating, then the yarn kind of goes farther. You know what I mean? So you don't have to weave in ends because you're using two skeins instead of one skein you need to weave in and start the next one. Like you're just
you get it's two skeins. I could not wrap my brain around helical knitting, and I watched a tutorial. Honestly, I don't remember what the tutorial was because it was some time ago, but it was it just described how when you're knitting in the round, you're knitting a spiral. And so there's not a beginning and end. You just kind of go around and then you onto the next one, and it's this spiral. And the idea of helical knitting is you just have two spirals
that are going,
that are stacked on top of each other.
And they're just starting in a different place. Yeah. They're just offset. So you could do helical knitting with 3 colors or 4 colors, or
you really could,
skeins or whatever. Managing that would be fun. But but it's really simple. But then what I couldn't wrap my brain around was how to end one of them. Yeah. When it was time to be done.
Now I've got these two stacked.
What do I do? I figured it out. Now I can't remember what I did.
I don't remember either. I just did whatever looked right.
What did I do? I figured it out. Because that's the thing. It'll always show you how to do it, but not like ending. If you're ending with one. When
I think I
was
just
that the
worked
case?
over it.
Anyways, don't
It just
remember.
happens.
It worked.
It works beautifully, and it's so much nicer than having that jog
Yeah.
that you get.
Yep.
So
All
anyway,
right.
I love it. It's beautiful.
It is. And you said it took you longer than most of the sweaters that you have knit.
It did take me longer, only because I kept stopping and working on other things.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't necessarily the pattern. I mean, when I knit the Grace cardigan, which is the very similar shape by the same designer, it probably took me about the same amount of time that this one took me. Fingering weight, thigh length, A-line cardigan in the largest size is going to take time. With all the cables and everything, it's just going to take time. It just is how it is. But it is a reverse stockinette, and there are some things I don't like about reverse stockinette. Mostly just when you join a new yarn in, it's a little more obvious where it joins, things like that. But I will definitely use this pattern as a base for other things in the future too, because there's a lot of ways that I could take this and switch out texture patterns or cable patterns or stitch patterns, or knit it completely, pretty much plain. And I love the fit and the shape of it. So 2 thumbs up for the designer.
All right. I've finished socks. I finished 3 pair. I was close with this pair last time for my niece. She picked out this set of mini skeins, which was from Yarn Cafe Creations, and it is a rainbow My Little Pony set. My brain just went blank.
Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash. Good job, Emily. We didn't use all of the minis. She had me leave 2 of them out. One that was like a dark kind of charcoaly gray, and one that had a lot more teal in it. And I thought, well, good, because I like both of those, and I'll put them in something else. So I just measured her foot, figured out how many rows I needed, and divided by those colors, so I knew how many rows to do on each one. But the problem is with little kids is now that I finished it, her feet are probably 2 sizes bigger already. So I really need to get them to her now so she can at least wear them for a second. But I really love this yarn, and this base is her biscotti base. It just, it feels really nice. It feels very nice.
Base.
I like it. I just did stockinette. I mentioned that I was trying a whole bunch of ways to do jogless joins so that you don't see where you switch colors. And I think that it made it more messy on all of them. So in the end, I was like, it's okay. I'll just stick with it. Stick with having a jog in the join, which you can see where it ends and starts the next one. But I'm trying to see what happened. And it could be because I was just learning how to do it and I kind of messed it up. But it kind of, what I ended up with was, it was more lumpy and not even. And so it kind of accentuated that. But anyways, I really, really love knitting socks like this because you get to just switch from one to the next, to the next, to the next. So it seems to go really fast, one color to the next, even though you're just doing stockinette in the round endlessly. It just makes it really fun because they're just little bits of fun that you get to switch from all the time. So
you just want to get to the next color and the next color and the next color.
Yeah. I had a good time with those. I don't have all the details of how many stitches I cast on. I'm pretty sure I cast on 56 stitches, which I was surprised when I measured her feet because she has these little tiny feet. But 4 stitches can make a big difference, and I wear 60, and 4 stitches, I know that because if I knit 64, it's a big difference for me. So I knit 60 stitches for my socks. But I thought that these were going to go so fast because she has little tiny feet, but honestly, it seemed to take me almost the same amount of time as for myself. So it's all right. And I did 12 rounds for each colorway. 12, yeah, that's what I did for these. So
cute.
Except for the ribbing, I did 15 on this one, on this pair. Okay.
Very fun. All right. I have to show you my mittens. These are so pretty. I knit these mittens for myself because I realized I only had one pair and one of them was too small, which I've talked about that pair before too.
It's been years.
Gauge. Well, I knit the first mitten and it fit beautifully. So I wrote down how many rounds I had knit, and, in each of the steps. And then I knit the second mitten the exact same way. The only problem is I knit most of the second mitten while sitting in the waiting room while our father was having heart surgery. And that second mitten is dramatically smaller than the first mitten, which just shows that if you are really stressed, your gauge can definitely be affected. So those were the only mittens I had, and I had a pair of fingerless mitts, but I thought I needed my own nice mittens. So I knit these for myself. This is out of a precious skein from a friend, our dear friend Mandy, who she had yarn at this gorgeous little shop in Heber, Utah. And her yarn is Gypsy Heart. She's not currently selling, but I think that she's working on setting that up. So, but this is a 50-50 merino and silk blend. It is super nice. They're super, as my kids would say, they're super Gucci, Mom.
Okay.
I don't know why, that just cracks me up. Anyway, I designed the cable panel. Very simple panel. 3 different cables there. And I just love them. They just fit so perfectly. So I think I showed these in progress last time, but now they're done and I am loving them. That's all. They're a DK weight.
I have several jackets, coats, and I wanted a pair of gloves or mittens in every one of them so that I just grab it and I have them in my pocket.
That's smart.
So I'm working on that. I need to make some more.
That's a good idea. They knit up so fast.
Yeah.
I do know I cast on 44 stitches, but I can't remember. I think it was a 3 and a 5 needle. 3 for the ribbing, 5 for the rest of it.
I like having the long length at the end, so it goes underneath whatever you're wearing and keeps you warm. Because that gap it makes everything seem colder.
It does.
You have a gap.
No, I agree. I like to have it so I can pull it up, underneath my sleeve.
And have that overlap. All right. Sorry, I can knit without looking, but I can't crochet without looking. And I remember when I was young that I would just crochet and watch TV or whatever, and I don't know how I did that.
I had to look to crochet.
I had to look to knit. I didn't for crochet, and now it's swapped. And I'm crocheting now, so means like I'm up and down. Maybe I should just put it away, but I'm having fun. Okay, yeah, I finished my socks finally that I have been working. I say finally, I started too many projects and I had a lot on the go and had to set everything aside for a while. And so these have been a work in progress for way too long.
So cute.
So these are the Midwinter socks by Summer Lee Knits. I purchased them on Etsy. She is on Instagram. Her sock pattern has one base color and then a contrast color to do all the rest of the color work. I did one color here, one color for the little spots here. Hers goes all the way down the foot, but I ended it here because I didn't want to do a short row heel. I wanted to do a regular heel flap and gusset that I usually use because that fits me better. And if that's the case, then it gets more tricky trying to continue this pattern here. So I just decided that this is how I was going to do it, and I really like it. I think it's very cute. I used my Candy Crush sock set. which I've had in my shop off and on. I don't at this time. I don't have anything in my shop right now, but I really, really like this colorway because it's got some bright pops and then some muted colors. It just suits me. Now, of course, once again, on camera, we're always saying the contrast is higher, so this isn't popping quite as much in person. And oddly enough, when we say there's higher contrast, I can see these spots better in person than I can on the camera. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's true.
How it works. But I made these for me.
They're so cute.
I don't need any more socks. But every time I start a sock, I'm like, oh, but I really like this one. And my kids won't really care that much about it. First of all, they don't like bright colors like I do. And that's 90% of my yarn. So keep knitting socks for me. Anyways, I'm just happy that I finished this one. And this wasn't hard to do, honestly. I just, once I got my tension correct, I just felt like I got it. Like it just clicked for me. And I mentioned this before, that what helped me get color work to click in my brain was Tanis Gray patterns. It's a Small World After All cowl pattern. That one just kind of unlocked the magic of color work for me. And so I wasn't afraid to tackle it in other places. But once again, my favorite way to do color work socks is with a 9-inch circular on the color work portions, and then switch back to, I do magic loop for the rest, because it's just an open circle, so you don't have anywhere where you're going to have a float come from one side around to the other. Does that make sense? That could get pulled tight.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Also, 9-inch circulars, for some reason, give most people a larger gauge. And it's not usually dramatic, but just enough that it helped me with that. Now, it doesn't help everybody, but, that's what works for me. Okay.
I bought a 9-inch circular needle, so I could try that again.
I'm going to, once again, say the trick with working with a 9-inch circular is no death grip.
And just...
it's a light, loose hold. It's dainty and loose. So if you're a death grip kind of person, you're going to kill your hands.
I think the thing that will be hard,
it's because you like to rock. With this one,
yes, is the pivoting.
It's you still can pivot, but you find that you have to do it in a different way. Because I'm also a pivoter, but in a slightly different way.
I mean, for me, my pivot is
flick.
Like such a big deal.
You'd have to do it in a different way because you're really rocking, and I do a light rock, and I can still do that. But yeah, like I said, everybody try it, see how it works. I didn't like them really for most of it. I don't like them for a whole sock. I really don't. But some people love it, so to each their own.
I'm gonna try it again. I'll mess with it and see what happens. Okay. I finished this cowl, which is going to be a gift for a friend. I think that I showed the pink and gold.
And finished.
That's right. I think I showed the pink and gold one
last time
on our last one, and I did a purple and blue one. Love how that turned out. This is all from scraps from my stash, and I got these cute new labels. They just say knit by Emily, and then they say hand wash, dry flat on the back. Those are so fun. I just got those on Etsy, and I think it's so cute.
So what is the pattern?
The pattern is one that I wrote up, and it is, I'm calling it my Infinity Cowl, and it's just for free. Right now, I don't even have it on my website, but I will hurry and put it on the website. So it'll be on yarnberry.com. It will be for free. I've already shared it with our Facebook group. So if you're on our Facebook group, it's already posted there. But I will stick it on my website as well for you to find that. But it is a very simple, super fun. Oh, it's just so much fun. I want to make another one right away. Because you know, just like you were talking about with your socks, how you can just get to the next color, get to the next color. It's the same thing, but this is like ultimate TV knitting. You're literally just knitting in the round, round, add in another color. And I really like to find the little scraps.
The littlest bits, like...
I don't have any handy right here.
I happen to have some handy here.
Yes.
I gave you a couple of these.
Yes. So just little tiny bits. I've even had some that only went most of one way around, and I've included that. And so you can really use up. Deborah and I were talking, we've talked a lot about this, but how when you make scrap projects, the scraps just keep multiplying. So
And they get harder to use.
Yes. So like, for example, you knit a pair of socks and then you've got, I don't know, 30 grams left of your sock yarn after you finish your socks. So then you think, okay, well, I'm going to put a stripe in a granny stripe blanket, which may take 10 or 20 grams, depending on how big of your...
So I've got 10 grams left.
So now you've got, 10 grams left. Okay, now what do you do with 10 grams? Okay, well, maybe I can...
Put a stripe in the sock.
Put a heel in another pair of socks. Okay, so now I've got 3 grams left. But you never want to throw it away, so what do? Put it in here. Yep.
Then you're like, oh, well, then I put it in my cozy memory blanket.
Now I've got a gram left.
Great. What now? That's why I love Amy on Noble Character Crafts, how she uses every last little bit. Speaking of which, that's my favorite podcast.
She's
Amy,
so fun.
Could you podcast twice a week to help me out? I mean, you don't have anything else to do. People ask us, why don't we podcast more? It's because I'm busy watching Amy's. So yes. Go watch Amy.
She's so great. She's so great. Just one of the most gentle and uplifting people you could ever listen to. So that is super fun, and I'm definitely going to make more, but this was a gift for a friend.
Okay, labels.
Yes, the labels.
Where'd you get your labels?
Give me a minute and I will find it.
Okay.
Because I totally forgot to look it up.
I want yarn labels. This is why I haven't done yarn labels. I'm going to tell you my number one hang up. I don't know what to put on it.
You don't know what to put on it?
I'm like, do I have to say knit by Deborah? I see all these clever things. What do I want it to say? What's my thing? I don't.
Archer Knits
is
who I bought it from on Etsy. And they make their custom tags. And the great thing about it, Deborah, this is a great thing about this specific one. They have selection to choose from. Mm-hmm. So you can pick, I like that font. I like that little heart. I want it to say these words. So you can simplify, like you can customize it quite a bit. Or you can pick one of theirs that they already have. So
I got it.
What?
Knit by Queen D. That's what it is.
Queen D. There you go. Okay.
I need some labels that say Knit by Queen D.
So check out Archer
by Queen D.
Knit with Love by Queen D. I love it.
That's what it is. Sorry,
that's perfect.
I just interrupted.
It's like Queen Bee.
It's because I'm like, I don't know what my thing is.
Yeah.
I don't have a thing. Now I do. Okay.
Well, I wanted something, since this isn't a brand for me in selling anything. I want it to just be something so that when I make something for somebody, it's got a little thing on it. And I love that has the care instructions on the back. They have care instruction, like, what am I trying to say? Icons that you can use, or the words. You can choose what color you want your little screws to be. You can choose your font. You can choose different symbols. So there's all kinds of ways. And there are, let's see, it looks like 12 colors to pick from.
Okay, I need to
on Archer Knits.
I did just change my mind though, because I realized I'm not always knitting. Sometimes it's crocheted or sewn.
So made by.
But I even realized this is my thing in our house. It's always, yes, Your Majesty. Yes, it's just, that's what it's just going to say on it.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Yes, Your Majesty. That's what it's going to be. Because that's always the joke in our house. I even have a little clip of that I'll play sometimes for my kids.
You should open your mouth a little wider when you speak. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Thanks for helping me figure that out.
Well, the way I figure that, I mean, I don't have grandchildren yet. You all know when that's happening because I talk about this all the time. I have all these little, right here in my little basket. Oh, it's down there now. That has all my little things that I've knit for future grandbabies. And if it says knit by Emily, they're going to know that's their grandma Emily. So it'll be good.
Yeah, everybody will know if it says, yes, Your Majesty.
They'll know.
Everybody.
Just like that guy on the street. He's like, oh, you got that from Deborah.
Yes. Okay. Next pair of socks. This was my entry, even though I'm not really entered, but for our knit along. Here's my fabulous socks. I knit these from yarn that I got from Emily. She dyed this for me, and it is Ma's bonnet, one of a kind, because
I'm not open anymore. So
I have 2 little balls of yarn left. I wanted to use it all. It's classic DK, which is 75/25 superwash merino nylon, 246 yards for 100 grams, and I wanted to use all the yarn. I didn't know, because I haven't knit DK socks before. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how much one skein, how far that would take me. And so I wanted to do toe up. I always do cuff down, but I thought if I do toe up, then I can make this foot the size I need, and then just knit until I run out of yarn. Well, I kept knitting and knitting and knitting and put it on and went, that's plenty long. I actually don't want it any longer. So I have this left, but
what do you do?
What am I going to do? There's actually, I think there's, you have your scale? I think I have 10 grams each. So do I have 20 grams left? Now I can't remember. Let's see. Because I divided it evenly in half, like exactly when I knit them, 9 grams. And let's see with this one. Ooh, I was so close.
9 on both.
9. Okay. So I had 9 grams left. I used pattern from Jules, So Sweet Violet. It's her Saint Nick socks. And the whole idea is that it has, you know, they're Saint Nick socks. You can see they have a fuzzy cuff that folds down. I didn't do that. I knit it exactly to pattern, except I changed everything. Okay. I didn't fold the cuff down. I just did a 1x1 rib, and I did a tubular bind off. I have knit some socks from Jules patterns before, toe up, and learned that I need to do a shorter foot. I need to do it a shorter length before starting the gusset increase. The gusset increases. Where does that start on here? It started right here. So I was thinking I was going to make these for my mom, and she wears a size shoe 1 size smaller than me. So I was looking on the pattern, thought I'm going to do it like, maybe I was an inch shorter. Maybe it was 3/4 of an inch shorter. And then I started knitting, and I remembered, oh, I should have done it even shorter than that because it has a lot of extra ease for my preference. So these ended up fitting me. Not for you, Mom. I'm sorry. So they fit me. So now I have more socks, but I have a pair of DK socks now. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I was going to say. I did it exactly to pattern, except for I changed the stitch count because I have narrow feet. So the sizes were 44 stitches, or no, 42, 48, and 56. I did 44, which posed slight problems here and there. I made sure that the top foot and the bottom had the same count. On the pattern, it's slightly different, so it was even that way. When I got to the decreases, it meant that I had an extra stitch on either side. So I decreased again, so I have a little extra thing right there to bring it back to the size that I needed. But it doesn't really matter.
You wouldn't know.
And it feels nice and snug. So I know for me that I need 44 stitches for my feet. So, and I know I can do from one skein that I can do the length of leg and foot that I like in one skein and still have some left over with the yarn because I also use this base. So I will do cuff down because that's my preference. But for toe up, this is a good pattern. I like the simplicity. Jules has a really great heel, which I think she calls her Go Day heel. I really like the simplicity of it because you're increasing and then decreasing. You're not doing like a heel flap or short row heel. It's lovely. So there's the pattern that I knit exactly to pattern.
Except for you changed everything. Yep, exactly.
Just like on recipes where they're like, made mine exactly the same and it tasted disgusting. What did I do wrong? I mean, I only changed it from regular flour to gluten-free flour, and I substituted
olive oil for butter.
Yeah, and I did it, you know. Why didn't my turn? It's a terrible recipe.
All right, well, here are my DK socks. These are knit in Chelsea Luxe DK, which I realized after I finished them. I went and got my yarn ball and looked at it and realized they don't have any nylon in them. So they are going to be a gift, and I will tell the new owner to baby them. But the color is so pretty. It's called Semi-Precious. And I cast on 48 stitches. I knit mine top down, and I used, what size needle did you use for yours?
I usually use 2.25 millimeter, and I did 3.25 millimeter, which is a size, I'll tell you, I wrote it down.
Oh, you did a bigger needle than I did.
Why does it? 3.25 US 3.
Okay, yeah, I did a US 2. I think. Did I do a US 2?
Let me look at your gauge too.
Hold on, let me look and see. I got to make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Did I write that down?
Your yarn does seem more thick, but it could be tighter gauge. Mine feels a little bit more springy. So
US number 2. Yeah, US 2 needle is what I used. And it's because I've been looking at my gauge on my socks recently and going, I think I need to tighten these up. I mean, I think I want to go try down a needle size.
Okay.
Because they've been feeling a little bit not quite as firm as I would like. I really like how the fabric turned out in these.
Yeah.
And these are a gift for a friend. I did a broken rib. So I knit 16 rounds of 2x2. And then I just started knitting 2 rounds of plain knitting and then 2 rounds of knit 2 purl 2, alternating through there.
Trying to choose color. Sorry, Emily. Holding it up here. Like, what do I want next?
Oh, that's pretty. What is that yarn?
This one is my fireball.
Atomic Fireball?
Atomic Fireball.
That's pretty. I like that. Well, there's my DK socks, and I can say I don't really love knitting DK socks. I've knit them now. I've knit a pair of shorty DKs before, and now I've knit these.
And what is it that you don't
There's something about knitting socks that I love, the fine yarn and the fine needles, and it's just, I don't know, it's just because I've knit so many of those. And I really like knitting fingering weight yarn.
It is a place of comfort when you have the combination. It's like settling into a really good book.
I just find that I prefer knitting fingering weight yarns in general.
I like fingering weight. I like going back and forth.
I like crocheting fingering weight.
You know what? I do realize when I was starting something just recently, I had been doing a lot of DK worsted things. And I went to fingering and cast on a cuff and was like, oh, this is nice. Because I've always said my favorite part of the socks is the first few rounds of the cuff. That's my favorite part.
Really? That's not my favorite part.
I just love it. I don't know why.
I really love knitting the foot. There's something exciting about zooming toward the toe. Makes me very excited.
The things that excite us.
I'm just picturing this middle-aged woman like, ooh, I'm zooming towards the toe.
Put that in a book.
These turned out great. I wanted to see how much mine weighed so I could tell you how much yarn I used.
Okay.
So, yeah, I used 92 grams for the pair. So that's a really good...
Now, what size, what did you cast on? How many stitches?
48 stitches.
What size of shoe is this for?
Let's see. These are for Krista. I think she's an 8.
So women's US size 8.
Women's US size 8.
With 48 stitches. And the leg is, I'm like, how long is this leg?
It's 6 inches.
Okay. So that gives people an idea.
So a 6 inch from cast on to where I started my heel flap. 48 stitches. And that's on a size 2 needle, which means it is a denser fabric. And I just really like it. I mean, I like how they turned out a lot. I like the fabric. And Krista has already, she knows these are coming to her. This is one of my friends who is always cold. And I was telling her that I was making these socks. And mostly I was making them because I wanted to make DK socks. I wanted to try them out and see how they were. And I said, but I just don't think that these are for me. I was in the leg when I was still knitting them. I just don't think they're for me. They're just too thick. And she said, how can there be anything such as a sock that is too thick? And I said, well, then these are yours. So, anyway,
Fun.
That's all my finished objects.
Okay.
Got those 4.
You have another finished object. So let's go into this.
Okay, yes.
Let's go into this. Okay. So I showed last year, I'm trying to remember when it was, I started making what I like to call treasure journals, not junk journals. And so, did I show them last time? Did I show?
You did. You showed Catherine's last time.
Oh, I showed Catherine's. Okay. Yep. Well, I love making them, as you will be able to see. I needed a new one because I filled up my other one. I learned a lot that I need fewer pages in a book because the last signature I couldn't even use. It was so full. And so I thought maybe I'll take that signature out, but then it'll look really funny. I've just left it. Even though I love the paper, I love all the things there, I've just left it, made myself a new one. So this is how I keep track of all of my projects that I worked on. Not just knitting or crochet, but all
your making.
All my making. Okay, that's not true. Like my sewing, my knitting, my crochet, that kind of thing. But I am making one just for my yard, my gardening.
Ooh, fun.
So that's the next one that I'm working on. Okay, so I used this old book. This one was called Man and God.
There you go.
But it's got this gorgeous spine. And I kept the spine, but this means that it can't be too big of a book. So I'm just going to do a very quick flip through here. This one is empty because I've already got some things in here, projects that I have finished that I need to start putting in the pages. So I have some pockets. I painted this page with watercolors. Here's a mailer that I cut out that, I'll cover up with things. I dyed some pages with watercolors and sprays and used some scrapbook. This was a wrapping paper from a friend, from a gift. Some of them I added in some other pockets. And then this is my ribbon bookmark.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I'm adding one of those.
I glued that. Let me show you where I put that. Between signatures in the center.
Nice.
I glued that down the center all the way at the bottom, and then it comes out the top, and then I just stick it wherever.
Nice.
So let me see. I've got center signature. Here is some old music that I folded up the bottom for pockets. I've just got a whole bunch of different things here. But I've had fun. Like, I bought a lot of, I don't know the name of this pattern. Maggie Holmes, that's all the scrapbook papers that I used on this. And then I painted the edges of papers. Okay, so I did that one, and then I discovered this gold pen, or gold ink dauber. And it's so beautiful. So I went and inked the edges, if you can see the shimmer on here, of a lot of my pages. I just went around the pages, and it just makes me so happy. I need to go buy all of them. I found it at Joann's. I need to go buy 17 of those. I've also heard of gilding paste wax, or gilding paste gold. I need that. I've got to get some. And I made this pocket with some vellum, and it has a little tie. Okay, so now I can start putting my projects in here. So I did that one, and then I made one for a friend that my friend will get at another time, with a little golden book. And I'll show you just a few of the pages here. Okay, this is a two-handed thing, so it just takes. The whole idea with this is it's an experience. It's not I'm gonna grab it and hurry and put something on there. It's Like, you want to just...
It's a treasure.
It is a treasure journal.
Treasure
Take your time. Enjoy the process. So I put a pocket in the front there. And then I hand-dyed a whole bunch of pages pink with beetroot and food coloring. And then I used the pages from the book in there. And then I just have lots of random bits of treasures that came from things. This was from pajamas, a tag from pajamas that I bought for myself that I put in there. And the golden book, I decided to cut off the little gold spine because I had saved that and shorten it, which meant I had some extra here. So I folded it and just glued scrapbook paper to that flap. So I just have some fun pages here, but I love the illustrations from the book in there. So I put pockets in that were sheer, so you can still see the illustrations, but you can still use those pages. And you can always cover up the pages, but I mean, they're just so fun. So fun. Okay, this one was fun. It has a flap and then a tag. This one came from another thing that I had purchased that I had decorated. It's just, it's so much fun.
It's so cute.
Okay, so let's see. I wanted to see if there was a favorite here to share.
This one.
Okay, I like this one. This one was a sticker from the dollar store. This whole page.
Really?
So I bought it from, what's the name of the dollar store that we have?
Dollar Tree?
Dollar Tree. I bought it a year ago, and this is one sticker, this is one, this is one, this, and then the center thing.
Nice.
And I thought it was so cute, and you're supposed to peel those off of the backing. But I liked the whole thing, so I took the backing off of the whole thing and just stuck it down. Because I just thought it was so pretty. And then in here, you can put in a little picture or a piece of paper and write your notes, or just leave it. Like, it could just be a page like that. I just love that. And then here's one of my other favorites. I stamped just some fun things in here and put a paper clip with that. So I had a lot of fun making this for my friend. But the hard part is not going crazy with it, because you want it to be usable for the person to add their own things. So I tried to just restrain myself and leave a lot of emptiness to it. So anyways, I made that book, and look right here, the end.
That's so cute.
I love it. Okay.
So Deborah made that, and then she sent me a video of a flip through of this book, and I've watched her make these books, and I thought, oh, those are beautiful. I really admire that from over here.
Yeah.
And then after that one, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm in. You got me. I am in. When can I get started? Help me. So when we were on our little retreat, Deborah brought her tools and supplies, and I made this one, and I love it so much. So this fabric is actually the same fabric I have for my apron. I made a new apron for myself, and I used that. And this is just a book that we got from a thrift store. But look at that cute bright pink. Just added these embellishments to it. The ribbon ties. And then I've just started, and this is also for my project book. So this is my, if I can do things here, if I can get a hold of that. I can't do that. Okay, anyway, I've got a little pocket, and this is just a note about what the purpose of this book is, which is all about keeping track of my makes. And I just started with the things I've made since the beginning of the year. So it's the things you've just seen me talking about are in here. So this is the one about the mittens. And so there's my little picture. And then in here, I've got the information about the yarn, a little scrap of the yarn, and the yarn tag. And then I've got my cable pattern that I made up. And then information about the pattern, about the mittens. And I got a little printer, again, inspired by Deborah. It's what is the name of the printer?
We're recording on my phone, which is
it's
where
right
I have
here.
all the
I can see
information.
it. Hold on, give me just a second. It is a
Kodak Retro Shop.
Kodak Retro Mini. Kodak Retro Mini 2.
And it prints 2.1 by 3.4 inch prints.
Yeah, just these little prints so that I can print out my project photos. Anyway.
They have different sizes as well, but I liked that one. They also have adhesive back prints that you can use, but...
So here's my cowl. And so I printed out a tiny little version of the pattern and stuck that in there along with the actual like pictures of the cowl and that one there. Anyway, it's just really fun. So just
So
flipping
this is
through.
a combination of scrapbooking, journaling, smash books.
Yeah, it's kind of all of the above. Here's my sweater. I like this one. I have this little plastic piece and I made a tiny little pouch out of it. And in there I stuck a card with the yarn just twisted on it. And then the little yarn label.
Yeah, I like having the yarn there because also in pictures, it's never quite the same. And this is a fun way to
being able
really
to see that yarn.
It's tactile.
So
I love that, Emily. That's
this page is my favorite one so far.
I hadn't seen that one. I think
Isn't
that you
fun?
didn't have that one done when you showed me.
And then here's the one for my socks. Again, here's my label, the picture. Here's my, just like my stats for my socks. And then a little bit about them and who they're for. So I just loved it. Deborah sponsored me with this book, we'll say. So I've got handmade papers or hand-dyed papers in here that she dyed as well. I put some scrapbook papers that I purchased. I also have some papers that were printables. So you can find all kinds of pages that digital pages that you can purchase, files that you can purchase and print out.
Go to Etsy and search junk journal printables. Like look at, where did that
This one right here.
Love that.
Well, and then where's the one I cut out that's actually, we cut it in the shape of the butterfly wing.
That's on my...
oh, no, I didn't cut. I cut mine in there was the other one. Hold on. It's like this one right here.
Oh, the edge of the paper.
The edge. So this one right here, I followed the edge, this curly Q edge of it. There. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
Paper crafts.
Put the vellum in there
and sewing
and
my
scalloped edges.
Yes, I love how you cut that into a scallop.
Anyway, oh my goodness, it's so much fun.
The whole process, I think, is fun. The
Little
whole
envelope
process.
here in the
so
back.
that is a flap, a tuck.
Yeah.
So that...
And then it just tucks underneath that little
And okay,
flower.
sorry, now I have to go back to that. Gold on the inside there.
This is the envelope for a thank you card that somebody gave me.
Love that. I love
And
that.
oh, and that reminds me, there were a couple of these things. So this one right here, this lacy card, and also this little lovebirds in a basket. Those are both from wedding cards.
From your
from
wedding.
my wedding. I found a stash of them, and of course, some of them are ones that I will not cut up. They're from loved ones that I've lost. These two were both from people who I sadly don't remember who they are. They were probably neighbors of friends of my husband's parents, and I'm like, hey, they're preserved. So I love that. Wasn't that fun that I got to use that?
This is a spot to encapsulate all of the treasures that you're like, what do I do with this?
Right.
What
Yeah.
do I do with this? So I really love it.
This is so much fun. It is just absolutely delightful. And it makes me want, there's something about, you get to pick your project and then I knit it. And then I get to make another craft about the project. Oh, my crafty little heart is just like,
But not just that. But I get to dye the papers to make the book, to make the
I also want to take pictures of my pages to put in my book. Look what I made, here. Look what I made. I made these pages.
Yes,
Except for that's ridiculous. But anyway, just to be clear, that's ridiculous.
Only if you say
fun.
it is.
It's so much fun. Oh, this one I still need to, I'm going
You
to
have to
create
glue it
this
down.
one into a pocket. So this is just the paper still
You got a piece of
sticking
washi tape
out of
probably
there.
back
Yeah, well, not anymore. So just holding it there, but it's going to be a pocket. I'm going to stitch it or
I wouldn't
glue
stitch it. I'll tell you, I tried that with my first one and ripped
Once
too
it
many
was-
pages.
once it was in your book, yeah.
I was trying to do just the edge. And I
Yeah.
was trying to hold it. No,
No, okay. Well, we'll glue it and it'll all be good.
it's so fun.
Oh, and this is one of my favorites. So right here,
Oh,
this
yes.
paper. Look at this. This is vellum. And I made a little like
flap,
and then inside there's these other pages. So you can kind of make these like a little tiny book within a book. And that paper is so pretty.
It is. It's so pretty. I love it.
Yes. Oh, it's joyful. Isn't it so pretty? And now I have plans for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more.
That's how it goes. Just like with knitting, crochet, sewing, all of these. It's like, we don't need another hobby. Okay, sign me up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
now I have this one. So I made this one. This is, I will say, this one is a special one because this is the grand prize for our cow. So this one is a project treasure journal. You can, of course, use it however you like, but that's the intention, is that you use it to record your projects, your makes. So I had a theme for this one, and it's all the blues and pinks and golds. So once again, I dyed a whole bunch of pink papers and I gilded the edges. You can see the gold on all of those.
It's so good.
In the pocket are special little treasures that you can put wherever you like. But I worked really hard to be restrained so that you can fill it with the things you want, not all the things that I put in. But I dyed some doilies. I have some cute journaling tags and tuck spots that everything can be moved around. Like this can go somewhere else. You can put whatever you like wherever, but lots of blank pages with some things interspersed here and there. A little flap like tuck spot and another little journaling card. Okay, this one, here's an envelope I made from old book pages, and then it just sticks on there with a paper clip, and then it has a little flap with the butterflies that are dimensional because it has different layers here. And then inside is another little thing where you can record your makes or put a photo or something like that. Which direction was I going? That's the front. Let's see. Ooh, oh, we just have so many fun parts here. I love hand-dyed papers and how they're crinkly and mottled. And then this one I did the same thing where it has a little flap where it folds over. And I made little closures here. And you open it up, and on the inside are more pages on the inside for your project.
So fun.
Let's see. Okay, this.
Yes, that's the one.
I love these pieces that are just little flat inserts in there. Got some pockets. This was a really sweet tag on a gift from Gaina. Tales from Cuckoo Land. I want to say of Cuckoo Land. Another little fold out booklet and fun things. Here's a vellum pocket. And this is a painting that my daughter did. A little frame. I wanted her to make a little frame, and that goes in the frame. So there are so many fun things in here. This is vintage wallpaper that I have that I've collected and made an envelope that you can tuck things into. So, let's find this one. Let's see. Another little booklet within the book. Fun.
Yeah, you can see why it's so addicting.
Okay, and then here's a little tag. I'm going to show you the tag. You pull it out of the little flower pot, and you can put your notes on there. And then we'll go to put it back in the flower pot. It has a photo of Emily and I because I thought that was silly. Okay. Oh!
What was that?
I just knocked things over.
That's okay.
So, that was the other one that I made. So
That's
I've been
so
gung-ho with these projects, and this will be our grand prize. Unless the winner is Knit by Gramsy, you get something else.
If you are somebody who you think that is really pretty, but it's not for me, and you win that prize, you
Then
can
you
tell
get
us, and we
some-
will switch somebody. We'll switch out.
Yeah, you can do that. Okay. it will be that instead of that, you'd get like yarn from my stash.
Guess what?
What?
We are awesomely creative, and I can tell because we're an hour and 10 minutes in and we haven't even talked about works in progress yet.
Let's get working on works in progress.
I love it.
Emily, are you the one that says hold on to your butts? Let's get moving.
I don't know if I've said butts, but that seems fitting. Okay, let me tell you, I only have 2 works in progress right now.
I've got a handful.
Okay,
so
well,
I'll start then.
Here, I'll take
I'm
care of this.
I'm trying to close
Yep, I got
things
it.
up. Okay.
I got it.
So the last, I don't know, 6 months I was working on the Gingerbread Dream sock pattern kits, all of that stuff, and everything else just kind of had to take a backseat, and then some gifts. So all of my things I just set aside, and then I got quite sick and I couldn't even look at yarn. If I saw a picture of yarn or heard someone talk about knitting or crocheting, I was physically ill. I just couldn't do it. So for a while I did nothing. And now I'm all gung-ho, which is really great. So my goal is to clear out all whips. I usually have 3, and at one point I had something like 10 or 11. And so it makes me feel anxious. So now I'm down to 5. And so I've got my granny stripe blanket. I started it last January for my birthday. Emily and my friend Mandy helped me cast it on or chain it on, whatever. Start
Get it going.
So we got it going, and I was all gung-ho for a little while, and then I just kind of like paused probably around there. And then I would just do a little bit here and there. And at the last time I showed it, I was right there. And since then I've picked it up again, and I'm just trying to just finish this because I want to be able to use it. So I've done this much since the last time I showed it, which has been months, but
So
I am keeping it in this, which was what held my Advent yarn swap from Mandy, not last Christmas, but the one before. And I just filled this with all the minis that I've been holding on to make a blanket, and it was full of minis. And now that's all I've got left for this blanket, and that should finish it off. So instead it's full of the blanket, not of the minis. So I'm just now down to the end where I'm like, I don't even care what yarn, just grab one. So I was trying to decide, and in the end I'm like, it doesn't matter, just grab one. So I am using, I don't even remember how much I chained. I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook, and I purchased a fancy schmancy hook to do this with, but I had already started it and done a good chunk, and it changed my gauge dramatically. And it was a Furls crochet hook. Someone had recommended that one, and I got one, and I think it is fabulous, but it changed my gauge, so I'm stuck with this one, which I really like. But I just have been trying to consistently work on it now for the last little while. Some colors now I'm looking at it like, ooh, I really should have left these 3 out, or at least that one. These 3 together, not so much, but it really won't matter. Once I'm all done with it, that won't even matter. So
those 3 together look like the blanket that was on our couch in the living room in our house that we lived in till I was 10 years old.
That's why I'm thinking that it's 270s. I don't like that about it. But once it's all done and folded up,
yeah, because you don't just look at those 3
Yeah.
colors. You look at the whole thing.
So how wide is this? It's just wide enough for me. It's wide enough for one person to
snuggle in.
It's a great lap one. Like I could end it right now if it was like for the car only, and it always just was like here. But I'm gonna make it.
You want it to your shoulders. You want to be able to tuck it.
I was gonna put this in my motorhome because I always think, oh, I want to put, like the treasures in there, because I want that to feel like a getaway. But in the end, things do get dirty, and I don't want it in there. It's gonna go in my car, because in my car I very often need these. And
That's a good idea.
So then I will have like a dedicated blanket for my car that is special and treasured. And so
I love it.
that's what I'm going to do with that one. So, okay, there's my
Wonderful.
first project.
All right. my first project is the Frank Shawl by Joji Locatelli. This is what it looks like. It's pretty magnificent. Look at that. Oh,
That's a big one.
it's big and gorgeous,
I like
and
when they're big like
a
that.
very cool
Shape and design.
shape. I'm gonna try and see
The
where
points.
is
I
the,
like the points on it. But
here is the
schematic.
schematic of what
like
it
it.
kind of the shape is at the end. I've said before, I don't really wear shawls. The only shawl I wear is my Birds of a Feather shawl. Very long and very light because it's a lot of mohair. But then I do wear my Terrace wrap, and I wear my Fading Points wrap. So I'm hoping this will be in that category.
Both of those two are wide and long.
Long rectangles, yeah. Long rectangles. So this is constructed in 3 triangles. So you build this triangle first, and then you put all the stitches on hold, and then you build this triangle, and then you join them together and pick up all these stitches, and then you build the triangle in like that. So just to give you an idea. So triangle 1, triangle 2, triangle 3. So here is my triangle 1.
Do you need me to help hold anything?
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Let's see. Here's the front. This is knit with this gorgeous sparkle, which is not showing up. It is very sparkly in person, but this very pale pink. This is Dandelion and Dogwood, Maybe Baby is the colorway, on a silver stellina base. And then this color here is a very precious skein, a gift from our friend Mandy, who we've been talking about a lot again today. And this yarn is one that she dyed using sagebrush blossoms that she gathered from the mountains in Heber around her home. And the color is You're a Daisy If You Do. Isn't that pretty? And so this kind of gold color will run through all the triangles. So that's my first triangle. So this is 1/3 of the size of this shawl, just to give you an idea. And then I've started in on
Which is like the size of a single skein shawl almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty
If
close.
we're going to look at that.
Yep. So here is the beginning of my second triangle. Again, with that same gold yarn. Yeah, so it'll be like that. And then this pink right here, I have lost the label. I do not know the name of the colorway, but this is Mr. and Mrs. Rabbit's Yarns. And I want to say it was something to do with no, this isn't the apple one. Oh, darn, I wish I could remember. I love this yarn. I love the feel of it. I love this is scrumptiously delicious color right here. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. Oh, it also came, at the same time I bought this stitch marker, which, let's see if you can see that. Kind of matches it this whole thing so perfectly I kind of can't even stand it because it's gold and pale pink and darker pink.
When everything goes together so well.
It's just love it.
Doesn't it make us put all of our problems in perspective? If we're like, okay,
this is the life I live. I live a magical mystery.
I have to match my progress keeper to the yarn, to the bag, to, like.
Yeah. This is gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. I love it. Okay. My third color is going to be this one right here, which is, let's see. Wait, do I have a tag in there? No, no tag in there. There's a tag in this one. This is a Sweet Tea Yarns, and the color is Cloudy or Cloudy Sky or something. Just cloud. Cloud. So this will be my third color. Let's see if I can show you these. So those are my colors. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it so much. And these are all for my stash. How happy is that?
This makes me want to actually knit a shawl.
Doesn't it?
It does. It does.
I know. And I was able to pull all those yarns out of my stash. They were all things that I acquired at separate times.
And when you say, so it's free, it's not.
It's
we
not
did pay
free.
for it, but it's already been paid for. You don't have to pay for it a second time.
Well, and it's how fun is it to find those treasures as if you bought them to go together, but they were separate. So anyway, this is where I am on that, and I am really enjoying it. Now the pattern's mostly in my head. You know, I can kind of just roll with it. It's not a complicated pattern. As with most Tohi Locatelli things that I have knit, which I love her. She's probably my #1 favorite designer. The construction is very clearly described, but it's unique. It's not something you just see everywhere. And then the stitches within that are quite simple. So it's really easy to kind of get an idea of the steps you need to take. You know, I'm making this triangle. You can kind of get your idea and then just make the whole triangle, you know. And then you come along and you do the same thing, or over here, you do the same thing. And then I'll check in again here, and then I'll get rolling, and then I'll just be able to do it. So it's got that wonderful combination of interest and something different, and then lots of familiar and easy and soothing knits. So just love it. So beautiful. Really excited about that one.
So you're on the second triangle.
On the second
You're
triangle.
about halfway through the second triangle.
Yeah, third to a half, somewhere in there.
Ooh, this is fun. So I've kept this on my blanket all this time. It is a birthday cupcake, and it came on a skein that was called, I think, Happy Birthday from Artistic Lily, or birthday something. And I started this for my birthday, and my goal was to have it done by this birthday, which was this last week, but I'm close. So I just think that's fun.
That's wonderful.
Okay. This is the bag that I made. It is hefty because it's holding a portion of my scraps and a sweater. So I have shown this several times before. But once again, everything had to get put on hold for a while. And this is my my Stash Dive Raglan by Summerlee Knits. And my goal for the last 2 years has been to use my scraps. But just like we've talked about, they multiply. They are never ending. So while I'm working on making all these scrappy projects, there's just more and more and more. So I'm doing this project, and then I'm letting go of that drive to have to use up scraps. So, but I really, really love the look of this one. I cast this on, I guess it hasn't been as long as I thought. It was back in September. I cast this on the way to Disneyland. I had scraps set aside. I had the pattern printed up. I had all the stuff, and I went to pull out my needles while we were driving, and I didn't have needles. And I was so upset. So we stopped at Joann's craft store. Their knitting needle supply is odd, to say the least.
Let's just say not good.
They have the strangest cable lengths. They're not standard to any other needles. They're different from all other needles that I could see. And anyways, I'm just like, hey, I only needed it for the ribbing. I had the needles for the body, but not for the ribbing. So I'm like, I can just do the best I can and use it for the ribbing. And I did, and it worked, but they were odd, in my opinion. Not to say you can't knit with it, because I did. So I did the ribbing, and then I just started in following the instructions in the pattern. She gives you instructions on how to kind of choose your colors, how to group them together, how to utilize them, because the whole idea is that it doesn't look like it's just stripes. Because if I were to just, stripe this color for so many rows, and then the next color and the next color, that's a different look. This one's supposed to look marled and blended and stuff. So what you do is hold one skein of bare DK yarn with fingering weight with the skein of fingering weight. That's the wrong pattern. I'm just checking to see if it was DK or if it was worsted weight, because this is a base that I don't even know where I got this yarn from. Oh, I do. My husband got it from NPS. NPS is like a local, it's a warehouse that has like damage in shipping or lost shipping or something like that, and he finds the most interesting things there. Worsted weight yarn. So you hold worsted weight yarn double with fingering weight. So it's pretty thick, especially considering all the millions of ends that are woven in here. So this is almost like a triple thickness. I'm going to show you the inside. Oh, you can't even, it doesn't look that bad. All those ends. It's kind of fun. I'm not cutting these really short until it is washed and blocked, and then I can go through and trim thousands of ends. But you weave them in as you go. I don't always do that. Sometimes I just put it in and knit away, and then I weave in later. It doesn't even bother me. It's fun. It's kind of part of the process. But I got the body done and set it aside, and then it was time to do the sleeves after I got over my weird thing about I couldn't even look at yarn. And I started, and I realized you have to get into the groove of it, because sometimes you're managing like 3, 4, 5 things going, skeins going at once, strands of yarn going at once, because you're holding double, plus in here you're just doing a little blip of 10 stitches, and then on the other side you might do another 20 stitches, or so you're just managing a lot, and you have to get into the groove. And I can't just take this with me to work on. I have to like spread out and dedicate some time to it once I get going. So I took this on our little knitting retreat. I started and I did a cast on. I did, I don't know, maybe this much of the sleeve, and it just seemed huge. And I was looking at the picture, didn't say anything about it being like a bishop sleeve, balloon sleeve, anything like that. It just seemed massive. And then you're doing increases still. So I went and looked at a whole bunch of projects and notes and things, and a couple of people mentioned that it was too big, but most people didn't. I just decided, rip it out, start again. I just changed needle size and just did 2 increases every 7th row. I did exactly as the pattern says, except for I changed the whole sleeve. So cast on the number of stitches. I didn't do any increases here, and increase to every 7th row. That's different than what the pattern says. And I'm making it to be like, what do they call that? Bracelet length? Because 3/4 would be like here.
Yeah,
but
probably a bracelet
I
length.
like to be able to get my hands in water, do some dishes, whatever, and not have to roll up or fold up, especially with all those ends. So that's the length I'm making it, and I'm almost ready.
Oh, you are almost there.
Ready to do the second sleeve, because this is knit bottom up, which is kind of strange. If I had really thought about it, I would have started top down, worked my way down instead. But so while I was working on this, Emily said something that didn't really hit me until I didn't realize this whole sweater is one constant color work.
Like stranded color work.
The difference is it's free form. So it's not like you have to do 2 stitches of this color and then switch, and then like I get to decide as I go. But the whole thing, I'm holding multiple colors together. I'm catching floats constantly on the back, and so no wonder it's taking me forever. But I love it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So I was just worried that after so much time I wouldn't get these to look the same together. But
they look great.
Yeah, looks good.
Fantastic.
Okay. I'm just a little bit worried because this is bottom up. Before I put sleeves on, I need to put this on waist yarn, and I need to really hold it up to see, is it going to be long enough? Because also I need to look at the schematic. Is there a schematic? I don't know. I got to measure and figure things out. Am I going to like the length? Is it going to hit just in the wrong place? I do not like when it hits in the middle of the abdomen. I don't like that. I don't like cropped things. I don't like shorter. I like it to be like just slightly longer. So, but then this is superwash and it's going to grow. So I have to keep that in mind.
It will, especially because it's a heavy.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's why I decided to end where I was ending, because
it feels amazingly squishy, and you're going to be so cozy in that.
I don't feel like I have used any of my scraps. I feel like I have more in here now than when I started. Like, I was looking at the yardage that it said, and I was pulling out, like, kind of the equivalent to that, and I'm like, oh, I should go through all of this. I don't think I've gone down any. It looks exactly the same as when I started. So, anyways, that's where we are on this project. So,
that's funny.
Okay. Did you have another?
I have one more.
Okay, you work on that.
I am knitting socks for my son, Isaac. I have said for a long time that I would not be knitting him socks because he has very big feet. But then I realized that's really stupid. The reason is that he is somebody who would appreciate them so much. He is so knit worthy. And so, yes, they are large socks. But if I just knit this sweater, why can't I knit him socks, you know?
That's a very good point. Perspective.
Anyway, so they don't look as big. When I hold them up, you won't realize how big they are because I have knit them on in a broken rib. And so they're very, but I can put both my hands in there. I'd really just kind of, this is about how they fit him on his tree trunk legs. Poor guy. He has got tree trunks for legs, but he is so excited about these. So my normal, like for me, I cast on 64 stitches. I knit 20 rounds for a cuff, 60 rounds for the leg, work my heel, do my gusset decreases, and then do 60 rounds from the gusset decrease to the start of the toe. So that's what I do for me. And I am a women's size 11 shoe. So that's not a small foot. For my Isaac, I did 25. I cast on 70. What did I say? 76 stitches.
You said 78. You said 76?
76 stitches.
Oh, that would make more sense. Sorry.
I had to think through that. Yeah, it is 76. So it's 38 is the half number. Yeah. So 76 stitches. I knit a 25 round cuff. I knit 100 rounds for the length. And the reason I did the leg so long, he likes a slightly longer sock anyway, but because I knew these would stretch quite a bit, which makes them shrink in this way. Yeah. And then when I decreased for the foot, I decreased it down to 72 stitches around for the foot. And I knit 70 stitches before I put the toe. Rounds? 70 rounds from the end of the gusset decreases to the start of the toe. So I just weighed this sock and it weighs 52 grams. So I was pretty sure it would take more than one skein of yarn. So I'm using minis. So let's see. We've got my main colorway is this one. It is called Shoreline by Storyteller. Let's see, this says Storyteller Sock, hand-dyed yarn in the color Shoreline. And let's see, it looks like Instagram is Knits and Knots Tahoe.
This was a colorway. This one was a gift from one of our viewers who's really sweet, and she did a yarn crawl and local yarn crawl, and this was one of the yarns that they had that she got one for us. And
this is the one that Isaac picked out. He saw that in my stash and really, really liked that. And then I had from Dirty Water Dye Works, Brewing Color and Creativity. I got, I had a mini skein set that had 5 denim minis. They were all just as a gradient set. So these are the 3 darkest ones. And then there's 2 more lighter than this. They're all in this. This is called Drizzle. And I picked out the 3 darkest ones. And so I am having, this one is the cuff. And then this one is the heel. And this one is the toe. And I really like how that's turning out. It looks really great. The yarn did pool in this kind of cool swirly pattern. I really like how it turned out. Isaac loves them. He tried it on yesterday. I finished this one yesterday. And he tried it on and it fits perfectly. Comfortable, snug, not too tight, not baggy, not loose. It was just, and I had him there to try it on him a few times down the road to make sure we were on the right track. But mostly what I did is I just started with measurements and then looked at what I make for me, compared those measurements and adjusted accordingly. So I'm only here on the second sock. Most of the time I don't get second sock syndrome. I do always try, and as soon as I finish the first sock, I immediately cast on the second one. Because sometimes just that, getting it cast on, there's kind of a resistance there. But if it's already on the needles, it's easy to just go to it.
Yep.
I really enjoyed doing this broken rib a lot.
I did that for Jason's socks that I gave him for Christmas. I really like that one.
Yeah.
And he likes it too. So
it does. It has a nice, very simple texture. But it was just an enjoyable thing to do to keep some interest.
So you knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rounds. Then the next 2 rounds
you just knit.
Yeah. That's what I did.
And so it's just really easy to always kind of, you can read your knitting and know what you need to do next.
I think broken rib is typically like knit 1, purl 1, or knit 2, purl 2, and the next row you just knit. And it's just every other
So I would call this a waffle stitch.
I was calling it a broken rib, but I don't know that's really...
Right. Either way, that's what it is. So anyway, that turned out really good. He loves it. He's excited. And the reason I finally decided for Christmas, what did Isaac ask for? He wanted really good quality wool socks. And he got some, and he loves them. And he just keeps saying, I just love wool. I just love wool. And I'm like, why have I not
I have wool.
Knit my son socks? I mean, I did knit him socks a long time ago. Like, a long time ago. And they fit him for, he was still growing. Fit him for 4 weeks or something. Anyway, but it's just silly for me to not make that kiddo socks. He's such a sweetie. And he's so excited and so knit-worthy.
That makes it nice when somebody is like, ooh, I will treasure this as much as you treasure this.
It made me feel kind of like a jerk because I've kind of been like, yeah, but I've never knit Isaac socks. I don't know.
Oh, you're not a jerk.
That's good.
Okay. So I have 3 projects in here. These are ones that I haven't worked on, but I'm going to show you because I'm finishing my sweater. I'm like focused on my sweater, and I alternate that with my blanket as my hands need. And once I get done with one of those, I'll pick this up and just work on the next one. So this is these are the projects. This one is a sweater that I started for a friend, her baby, but it just didn't look like it was going to fit him for the time that I needed. So I just set it aside and started a new one. And this is one that I got on Love Crafts, and it just says hooded jacket number 147-T17-436.
Okay.
But it says hooded. Oh, it just looks adorable. Oh, there you can see the information that I have. It's really basic, but it's seamed, and I knit the back. I knit one side, and it was when I was working on the second side, I was looking at it going, I don't think this is going to fit. And I was doing buttonholes like as I go in the band. I thought I had done more than that. I thought I had done the sleeves too and the hood. I'm like, all I need to do is finish this piece and I'm done. No, I wasn't even close.
They'll go fast though.
I mean, it's a baby one.
Yeah.
And the yarn was a gift from a friend. It's Plymouth yarn. And it is color 158, which is like duck egg blue kind of color, blue-green. And I liked this one because it was the color specifically that my friend said that she liked for her child, the duck egg blue. And also it's acrylic and nylon, which means you can throw it in the washer and you can throw it in the dryer, which is great for babies with all the spit up.
Yes.
And diaper blowouts. So that's great. Even though I know that she would have no problem caring for all the luxury yarns, this one was perfect. So I'm going to finish that one. And the next one that I have here, did you like my project bag, by the way?
It's very chic.
Yeah. This one, this project bag was from Caroline Loves to Sew.
Is that where we got those?
Yes, I'm just trying to remember because she doesn't have, wait, here it is. Yeah, yes.
Okay, good. I have that bag too.
So this one I started like last spring, maybe? I don't even know. This is the Mermaid Avenue socks by Summerly Knits.
Forgot about those.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when I don't work on it for, at all. I'm trying to see. Here's a picture. Mermaid Avenue socks I purchased on Etsy. And I had dyed a mini skein set that, what does that scream?
So pretty.
Ocean, mermaid. So this is perfect. Now I decided with this, she was using fewer colors. She was using 4 and I had 5. So I had to go change up. I had to figure out the math of like when to start fading in the next color and when to start fading in the next one and the next one. And I worked all that out. It took me forever. Finally got it. And it was time to start fading in along with doing this pattern. And I went, no, I just switched colors. No fading. Because there's enough to be keeping track of, I feel like, with this pattern. I don't want to be dealing with alternating skeins. I'm already doing that in the sweater. So, I mean, when I showed you, I think I had this much of a cuff done. So, I mean, I've done that much. That's nothing to shake a stick at. Get this joke before.
A knitting needle.
Like, what does that idiom come from? Shaking a stick at it, meaning it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Would that be like the old lady with her walking stick that would come out and say, "You naughty kids"? Is that where they come from?
If you know, tell us. Okay. And then my last project is a project. This is my Tanis Gray binder. Because I told you that I have a whole bunch of Tanis Gray's patterns. And this is the one that got me
addicted.
Yeah, addicted and helped me fall in love with color work. It's a Small World After All cowl. But I have just quite a few of her patterns in here. So this one is the Tiki Room cowl.
You have to say all of the tikis.
Yes. And I did the
Tiki.
So I finished that part and started in on the next part. I mean, last time I showed it to you, I think I was down here. I mean, so once again, nothing to shake a stick at. I did something, but I was hoping to have it ready when my husband and I went to Disneyland to wear there, and I could take pictures of both of the cowls. And then I just was too ill, didn't get it done. And then I was looking at the weather forecast. It was so warm. I couldn't have done it anyways. It was so warm. So I don't feel bad now.
There you go.
So I'm going to be getting those 3 done. Not starting any new projects till I finish several of these, unless it's books. I will start as many books as I want.
That's the same here. I'm only doing these 2 knitting projects until I get them done. And then I have got projects lined up after I went through did my D stash of my yarn. I've got things that I've pulled out and said, okay, this project with this pattern, and oh, it's so fun.
I am usually a accessory knitter. That's what I like. I like to knit socks. I like to knit hats, gloves, or mittens. I like to knit cowls, that kind of thing. I'm not usually a garment knitter or a blanket maker. And I can still say I don't know that I'm a blanket maker. I've done it, but I'm more of a garment knitter now. Now I really want to make more of them. We'll see. When
you say you're not a garment knitter, you're saying it's not your preference to spend your time on.
It's not my go-to, like, this is the thing. Like,
because I'm like, you are definitely a garment knitter as far as your abilities and the things that you have knit.
I mean, I knit 7 over my lifetime. That's not including babies ones. Right. But still, I mean, I've done it. It's just not like the thing that my heart goes, I really want to do that. But I wanted to do that more and more now.
It's so fun.
And I'm not saying, I can't start any projects till I finish all of these. No, I need to get this back down to my favorite number of 3. Yeah. That's what I like.
3 projects is a good place. We've talked about that before. It's good to have a sweater or something big.
A bigger one, whatever the bigger, doesn't mean it has to be in size. It could be in intricacy.
Sure. And then a pair of socks. Mm-hmm. And then something else, like a hat or a shawl or a cowl or a whatever.
And I usually like it to be in different weights of yarn so that my hands can kind of
I'm
get a
fine with
break.
everything being fingering weight.
I love fingering weight yarn for its versatility because you can hold it single, like, and just knit with that. You can hold it double, which gives you a really different feeling of DK. It has a different squishiness to it. You can hold it
with mohair.
You can hold it with multiple strands of fingering weight and get all sorts of marled combinations. You can, like, it's just so versatile that when I have an option, I don't know which one, I'll go for fingering.
Plus, I'm a warm person, so I love to wear my hand knits. But if I were to wear a worsted weight or DK sweater all day, I would not be pairing it with anything else. But if I'm wearing a sweater, I mean,
you like
a fingering sweater to me, I wear around the house. I'll wear it all day. But a worsted weight, I tend to wear it to go somewhere. I don't wear it around. So anyway, I do have to show you this because I'm going to call this a work in progress, even because I started printing stuff out. But look at this. This is going to be my next book. So this is going to be my book that I'm going to use. I'm going to take the binding off and make a wider binding.
Now, there are people that are fainting right now because we've cut up books.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I promise it'll be okay.
But I'll tell you, if it's at the thrift store
for $1,
it's garbage right now.
Yes.
It's also, going to be, unless
I refuse to cut up classics. So I found some really beautiful books, but there was like a Mark Twain, and there was what were the ones we were looking at yesterday or the other day?
But you're like, these are ones that
I want people to read the book. So I'm going to I can't do that. This one, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, going to use this book. It's so pretty. And then I found these printables on Etsy. They're from Ink and Page Designs. And this collection is called Love Potion. And
that page.
I know.
The back of that one.
I know.
So this one and that. Okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to flip through.
Making my heart flutter.
Okay. So these are journal pages. And I'm just going to kind of show you these. Look at that. The back of it. And look at that. And this one has like lined paper on the back. Oh, they're just so pretty. Here's one of the other backs.
Oh, isn't
that gorgeous? Look at this one.
This one looks like the tin that you just bought.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does. It definitely has a look. And
sorry, Emily.
Look at this back of this paper. Oh, anyway, and look at that. I think she's going to go on the cover.
Oh, that will be so pretty.
Because see that right here with this book? Oh! I love it so much. It's ridiculous. I just giggle with glee. Oh. And then there's these ephemera little bits that come with it. And then, of course, I'll add. I don't know that I'll use all of this, but there's these other little like tags and kind of journal little inserts. I'm not quite sure what this is supposed to be when you're going to construct this into something.
Wait, let me see. That's a library card pocket. A library pocket.
Ah.
And that's the card that goes in it. And this is a decoration
that can
stick somewhere on the page. This can also go in that pocket.
Yeah. So anyway, I know those go
to...
There's pictures on her Etsy listing of what this is all put together. I just need to go and look at them. So anyway, fun stuff. So I'm going to put that together. Now, this is definitely more of a, like, I'm assembling a kit kind of thing. But what's fun is you take this and then you just change it all up. That was one of the things that was really helpful. I get intimidated sometimes when I craft with Deborah because she is a very precise person. And I am not a very precise person. I mean, I'm skilled, but I'm just not as good at that specific thing. But you just said to me, this is yours. You can do whatever. If you want to tear the edge, if you want it mismatched, if you want it, I mean, it's the whole point of this is to just
make it yours.
Be as creative as possible. Make it the way you like it. And, it was just this very fun thing. So I'm definitely going to dig into that probably today.
All right. Okay, well, we have gotten through our projects. It has been a little while, but we're not done yet because now we are going to start into our new segment, which is Getting to Know You.
Yes.
And Emily has a question to pose for us.
Now I have to pull it up because I won't remember it.
So the idea here is that we are just going to pose different questions that we'll answer, but then we would like you to answer as well.
Yes. So we want you to post your comments.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So here's the question. And Deborah actually inspired this one for me. It says, feelings I would bottle. So think about this. Think about what kind of feelings would you bottle? And here's some examples.
Not bottle like tuck away to never have, but to
as
tuck
in, like,
away that you could pull out when you just...
Like to preserve so that you could open it and get some out of it whenever you want.
Special feelings.
So like homemade applesauce, that kind of bottling. Waking up fully rested on a day you have nothing to do. Getting a spontaneous call from a long distance friend just because. Being in the middle of a book you love and knowing you get to stay in that world a little longer. So those are some examples. So Deborah, do you remember what you said about that?
Okay, so I thought about that. So my 3 feelings that I thought, because that one had 3, so I just had 3. I love the feeling of after a long day and you're just really exhausted and you get into bed, like that feeling of just getting to bed and you just kind of start to sink in and you're like, I love that feeling. I love that feeling. I love the feeling of when I just learned something new, a new skill, just a new topic. I find like it's just that discovering something new. I love that feeling. I get really excited. And I love the feeling of arrival. So when we went to Disneyland this time, we flew. We always drive. And we got there and it kind of was like, it doesn't seem like I should be here yet. I don't feel like we're actually here because we haven't done what it takes to get here. Like the drive for me is important, even though it's a long drive. But I feel like it leads to this arrival when we get there. I'm like, yes, we finally made it, So that kind of arrival, but also the arrival of I've arrived at a place where I'm comfortable with myself, or that kind of arrival, or an accomplishment. So
I love that.
What about you, Emily?
So similar to your one of learning something new, I said that feeling you get when you're really inspired and excited by the idea of a new project. So whatever the project might be, like you start to go, ooh, what if I did this and that, and I can put this together with that, or you start, like for me, the knitting project, the process of going pattern, yarn, project bag, putting all the things together and kind of getting ready to start, that moment right before you begin. I love that feeling.
Yes.
That's a really good feeling.
That is a good feeling. I think we can all relate to that one.
Yes, that's a good one. But it's not just for knitting. It's just for whatever it is. Sometimes it's even like when you're about to sit down to a movie that you're excited to watch, and you've got your popcorn and you've got your blanket and your comfy spot and your new project.
Creating your nest.
Right, whatever it is.
I'm just seeing it
but
in
right
your
before
life.
you begin the movie. That just little moment. Because it's fun to start it, but it's like that. It's that just moment right before, like, okay, I'm all settled. I'm ready. Like, let's go. That feeling.
I like that. Okay.
So another one, when somebody pays you a sincere compliment. I have a love-hate relationship with this one. It's like one of those things that if I could, this is one of those where you have to not only bottle it, but you have to distill it. So you like filter out the self-talk. That's the negative self-talk. But just be able to feel that thing where somebody tells you something really sincere and you go, I really do. That is true about me. I really do. I can feel that. That's a hard thing, especially I think for women. We have a hard time feeling that. Actually, it's probably not just women. I'm sure it's everybody. We just have a hard time not saying, yeah, but, or.
Here with that one, I will say, for your husband, you're saying he's a words of affirmation kind of guy, but not really. You're like, yes, but he doesn't like any attention. Here's the point.
Yeah.
If Emily were to tell my husband Jason something she really appreciates about me, or something, a quality or something, and he tells me about that,
I
go, yes, and I can accept it.
Isn't that
Emily
funny? Yeah.
tells me, I just bristle and like.
Or if you were to overhear me, like if I was in another room talking to somebody, I'm like, that's one of those things that Deborah's so good at. Then when you're in the other room, you can't argue with me. You can't.
I can just
take it
hear it and accept it for what it is, and not feel like, oh, it's rude of me to be like, well, I know. Or
so I guess what we want to say is an overheard or related compliment. because that's how you get, that's the filter.
Yeah, that's the filter.
That's the thing that filter, like when you have to pour your juice through a filter to get all the little bits out when you're going to bottle
all of our
juice.
negative self-talk out through that filter.
You have to have that to take that out. Okay, so that's one of them. And then probably one of my favorite things in the whole world is just laughing around the table with my family, or even being in the next room and hearing my kids sitting together and just laughing. That is like the best feeling. And I used to hear people talk about that, and I always pictured it as my little kids. And yes, I loved hearing my little kids laugh. It is a completely different set of joy to hear your big kids, your grown-up kids, your teenage kids laughing together and knowing that they like each other and are friends. That's like the best.
Yesterday, Jason and I were with our family reading scriptures, and then the girls started in on something and they were being silly, and I love that, their positive interactions with each other, and to encourage it, I tell them how stupid it is. Like, that is so dumb.
And then they do it more.
Because they're like, Mom doesn't like it, so we'll keep doing it. Or whatever. Not really. They know that I do like it. But Ella and Nadia were both talking about how they're the favorite of whatever class it was. And so Nadia says, but I do this. So I just looked at her because I was hearing that they were both going back and forth and trying to they were saying flex on each other. So Nadia was saying, yeah, but this and that. And so after a while, I just started really pointedly, like,
and you?
And so then they just kept going with it. We just had so much fun last night. But a lot of times I kind of pit them against each other, but in a loving way and in a fun way. So they'll keep doing it.
And everybody's having fun, not in a...
We're all having a good time. Not in a actually
toxic
having
way.
to compete or...
Right.
Yeah.
Those are good feelings. Yes.
Okay.
What feeling would you preserve and store in a jar so you
when
can...
you need it.
Yes. Share those with us. We'd love to hear them. Okay. And probably we'll go, oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, I like that one too.
I know, all of us will be like, oh, I like that thought too. I like that feeling. I like that feeling. And so that's why we got to share them.
Makes me just think how, we can kind of do that. We kind of mentally do that, don't we? Mm-hmm. We savor those things up and go, okay, take the mental snapshot of this moment so I can remember it for later.
Well, we had this conversation in our online knitting group, and one of our friends said that these are the kinds of things I have to pull out when I'm having a hard day. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the idea of this, is like, what are those things that really help you during those times? So
yeah.
Okay.
Shop news.
I have some shop news. I'm still here. Okay. This is the one that I planned from the beginning that sparked it all. The Bonbon mini boxes. And I have a smaller quantity than normal because I'm just doing smaller amounts of everything. I have to be more
sorry. Okay.
I have to be more gentle with myself. So this one is French Kiss. I love it. It was inspired by a candy tin that I bought at Petite. I don't even know how to say it. Mason Antiques. I don't know, a local shop to me. And they had a tin of French candies that was so beautiful. You can see it on Instagram. And it was golds and pinks and reds and browns. So this one is on a silver stellina base, but very, very faint. Not overly sparkly. You can
see it.
You can barely see it in there, but
you can see it here very clearly.
It's just a gentle sparkle, and so I love this one so much. And along with that, I wanted to dye this luscious, sensual yarn. This one is called Heartthrob, and I just pulled out pinks and corals and tans and peaches, all ones that I just thought were like really great lip colors and for kissing. So gotta be luscious. So this is the luscious yarn. I'm always like, I'm so embarrassed.
I am not either. I'm like, I want to roll around in it.
I love this one. So this one's Heartthrob.
Not embarrassed at all. Let's talk about kissing more.
French Kiss and Heartthrob are two new colors.
So pretty.
And I have a shop update that is going to be on Saturday, which I'm going to be sad to say. Saturday, January 29th. Mm-hmm. And this video will be going up on the 30th. So these will probably be gone. I'm sorry. But I am not doing any more Gingerbread Dream sock sets for a good while. And I also am just going back to even smaller batch dyeing and just being gentle and doing what I can. So that's I would say I'm sorry, but I'm really not, because I just am going to be careful with myself. So, you know, I always say, well, I will dye more, and I will, but who knows when exactly. Oh,
they're so pretty.
Anyways, and I've been knitting swatches, so I'm starting to do swatches. I'm going to do a crochet square of not every colorway, but a lot of them that I can, so that I can have, you know, give you an idea of what it's going to look like crocheted, and then knit. This one, sadly, I have to knit on knitting needles. Because for Christmas, my husband got me a circular sock knitting machine, but it's not here yet. He ordered it in October, but they had a long waiting list. So it should be here anytime soon. And once that happens, I got to get to work learning how to use it, because I understand there's a steep learning curve. But I've been knitting a swatch of this colorway, so you can see how that works up.
Beautiful.
So we have that, and we have one for Emily and one for someone special. And I am using my Furls crochet hook. Oh, you're de-stashing. I should ask you first if you want that one. I'm using my Furls crochet hook for that. Okay, I guess that one is a yes. So. Okay.
Yay.
The end.
And we're done. So have a wonderful time making. Enjoy the rest of January. Well, January will be pretty much over when you see this, but we have one more month on our knit along. So February, get cracking. Get your DK socks knit. Dang it, I dropped my yarn.
I know. I want to knit more DK socks, but I'm like, I gotta finish.
I know. Yep. So knit your DK socks, enter them for the prizes, and we will see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.